really want to cover a lot of things about you. And after you dropped out of college and started the company with 6 other co-founders, was it 5 co-founders?
Yeah, well, so what happened there is I was in university when the Facebook platform was released, and so I got really excited about it. And so the first day it came out, I went and I built an app as quickly as I could. And I put something up the first day the platform was released. And I was just interested in connecting people to play games, actually. And a lot of people don't know this story, but there was, at the time, the Nintendo Wii had these friend codes, which were like a very long telephone number that you could share with your friends so that you can play a Wii game with them. But it was very difficult to share these numbers. So I just made a very simple application on Facebook where you could put in your friend code number, and then you could see all the friend code numbers of all the other people who are your friends on Facebook. So you could very easily connect them on the Nintendo Wii. And Mark Pincus, the CEO of Zynga, he reached out to me and just said, hey, this is really interesting. Why don't we go build some social apps together? And that was sort of how things got started. And the first app we went and built was a poker app, because at that time Facebook was all college students, and college students in the US loved poker at the time, myself included. So that was sort of what got everything started.
Oh, wait, so that was when Facebook was not public for people like older than college students. So it was only for college students, Facebook, at the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure the exact time that Facebook switched over and started adding other people in the US. But like the platform was right around the same time. Yeah. So even if they had already opened it up, it was like still majority college students. I can't remember the exact timing.
I see. That's why it was like a really good kind of marketing tool or platform for you guys, right? Making games for Facebook users.
Well, and that's kind of the idea, which is like, what was the right and the perfect thing to make for those people who are using Facebook at the time. So rather than this idea of going and making a company that would eventually be about making games for everybody, really this smaller idea of what do college students want to do with each other? And at that time it was play poker. And then once we did that, we built that experience, and we realized when we played it, wow, this is very different from any experience we've had playing poker online before. Having the real names and the real photos and connecting with your friends automatically. This is a different experience. And then after that, this is a whole new type of game. We've got to go do this with as many different types of games as we can. And so like, I think that a lot of these ideas, they start small. So of course we always had like big aspirations to build a larger company. But we started by experimenting, and then we sort of figured out what worked and went from there.
Right, and that really worked, right? So you launched the best known game, which was I think FarmVille on Facebook in June 2009, and it reached 10 million daily users within 6 weeks. That's a pretty good viral growth that you had, right? What would you say was the viral growth driver? Was it just Facebook advertising, Facebook platform, or what else was there, would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there were a lot of things happening at once that were new back. So like one was this idea of a new business model. Before that time, all games were paid for up front. And it was something where you went to the store and you spent $50 and you got a game. And the only thing you knew about that game was what you read in a video game magazine and the reviews that you saw and the commercial you watched and the movie poster that you saw hanging on the wall in the store. And we took that model and we basically said, no, you can try it for free. And then you can play as long as you want. And then if you like it, you can also invite your friends, and you can also spend money if you want. And if you don't want to, that's also fine. The thing about making it free is like that opened up this idea that you could play with anyone. Because if I wanted to play a game with you, but I also had to convince you to spend $50 on the game, well, then that's very high friction.
Right.
And so the business model enabled it to be social. And then when it's social, then we could actually redesign the whole game to be something that wasn't really something you could play by yourself. So if you think about it, like the games that you would buy for the console, they had to have a single player mode because, in most situations, you didn't have a friend over to play with. But the games that you played online, we thought the default should be social. It should be something you can do with somebody else. And so when you look at a game like FarmVille, it's not like one single thing that we did. It's sort of a combination of that realization and then how do you take these new business models and this new distribution through the social channels, and this new experience where people can just land on a page and play a game, and then builds a space that people want to spend time with each other in it. And so FarmVille was like sort of in a lot of ways the first time that it was easy to, with your friends, go and like hang out in a virtual space that didn't require you to be there at the same time. It wasn't like a live virtual world. It was very casual. Build your space, let your friends visit. You go visit your friends, and we learned a lot from the games we released before FarmVille to understand, you know, what players wanted, and to basically have a really good idea of how to build that game in a way that people would enjoy. And so even though FarmVille was really the moment that our company became famous for like the broader sort of technology community, by the time that we had released FarmVille, like Zynga already had many games that were very large for like these other players, and we just weren't really talking about it more broadly yet.
I see. What were those other games? Was it like a Zynga Poker or Friend with Two, Word with Friends 2, or those games you were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the first game was Zynga Poker, and so I was the original engineer on Zynga Poker, and
Oh, really?
like, product manager behind like the initial design. And that game is still very popular today, and that was the first game that we built at the company. So like actually, that was years before FarmVille, right? And so we had a game called Mafia Wars that was very big. There was a game called YoVille that was very big. It was the largest virtual world in the world at the time. From each one of these games, we sort of learned another set of things about what types of things that people wanted to do when they were playing with their friends. And we just kept sort of building on it with each new game that we would release.